So the idea is with mindfulness, there are two core kind of components. There's how we feel in our body, and there's the volition we're making, the mental or physical activity that we're making. These are the two core components of the mindfulness process. So what we were doing then was resting our eyes in one place. So when we had the urge to move the eyes, that's the volition component. So hopefully what tends to happen is when we relax unnecessary volition, we tend to feel better. So that's the feeling component. So that's kind of what's going on. It might sound a bit technical. I don't know. That's how my brain works. It's actually very simple. Yeah. Have you got a question, Patrick? Do you want to type it? Have you used that? No, you're okay. So let's try it. Let's try it another again. And yeah, you can do this with the eyes closed, but it might not be as easy to notice when your eyes have moved if your eyes are closed. That's the only reason I say, yeah, you might want to have the eyes half open. Ideally natural. So sometimes when we meditate, I mean, I used to have this habit of closing my eyes. But it was a bit forceful. I was actually holding them closed through a kind of effort, and it was actually a kind of tension. But so I recommend to have the eyes natural, let them rest, let the eyes rest wherever they fall. So, and if you get the urge, if the eyes want to move, if you get the urge to move the eyes at all, just try and relax that. If the eyes move, don't bring them back to the spot that you were looking at. Just let them rest again, as it were. And so the idea is we're relaxing. So the core process is we're enjoying relaxation. So let's do another minute. Okay, it's about a minute now. Does that sound pretty straightforward? Anyone if you type a question, if it's not, if you've got a question about it, that's what I call the core. That's what I call the basic mindfulness process. We can move on from there different ways. This is the direct approach. You're not adding an activity as to aid or challenge mindfulness. And that's what I call the second gear of mindfulness. So did anyone feel some relaxation or no relaxation? Hands up if you felt a little bit, or hands up if you didn't feel any relaxation or didn't know quite what was happening. So usually I see who I'm talking to with teaching mindfulness, but you didn't. Okay. It might take a bit of longer, just to kind of get your head around what's happening. So we could do maybe do it for try for 2 minutes now. Yeah, if you've got an idea, kind of what you're doing, that we're basically enjoying relaxation. If you want to do this standing, you can. If you want to do it reclining, you can as well. So let's do 2 minutes now. Let's say 3 minutes and then see how that goes. Okay, so that's about 3 minutes now. How did anyone? Is that kind of straightforward now? What that method means? Yeah, got a thumbs up. So again, not holding your eyes in one place. It's quite. If you do that, sometimes you can get a kind of white out where your vision goes blurry. That's not something we're trying to get to happen. So yeah, the basic idea is we're reducing some physical activity, which is the eye movement, the urge to move the eyes, and when we do reduce some physical activity, we feel a bit better. So it's that connection between that relaxation and the feeling, the enjoyable feeling. That's really the core kind of process. That's what we're looking for. It might not happen just doing it for 1 minute or 3 minutes for everybody. So we're coming in at kind of middle gear, and everyone's going to need to start. Not everyone's not going to have, need to start at the same gear. So if you kind of didn't feel any relaxation at all doing that, it could be that you just need to start at a lower gear, different gear. Okay. So that's what I mean by gears. So I should mention, so what I mean by lower gear is using a gentle activity to as an aid to this mindfulness process. So maybe we'll do a minute of that now. So if you didn't feel any relaxation, just directly doing the direct method that we just did. There are several approaches that are popular that use a gentle activity to aid the mindfulness process. One of them is saying a positive word, but in your mind on the out breath. So the word peace, I quite like the word peace. So you can breathe in, breathe out, say the word peace or relax. So that's quite a good first gear method. So I find that can take a little bit longer to get working. So sometimes we need to kind of kickstart the mindfulness process, kickstart relaxation a bit more, and that's what this using a gentle activity is doing. It's helping us to kickstart some relaxation and build some momentum, and that can kind of take a bit longer. It's like starting a train. Getting something heavy moving can take a bit longer, whereas what we were doing with the direct method to start with was just directly relaxing. Yeah, and we can relax quite quickly because all we're doing is dropping activity. Whereas here we're trying to get some activity. We're trying to get momentum building. So let's do 1 minute of using a positive word, placing a positive word on the out breath. So I quite like the word peace. You can say it out loud, or you can just say it in your mind. I quite like just saying it in my mind. It's kind of maybe more relaxing. You can also use a mantra or prayer. This is something that Dr. Herbert Benson talks about a lot, and yet it's proved to be very effective for relaxation. Let's do a minute now. Actually, let's do 2 minutes. Okay, that's about 2 minutes now. So it really doesn't feel like very long to meditate 1 or 2 minutes. So Dr. Benson suggests 12 minutes for that approach where you're using a positive word, 12 minutes a day. So with 2 minutes, you might get a sense of what you can do with that method. You may not. It might be not quite enough time. So I'm kind of doing a kind of rush through of a few methods, and we can go into the approaches in more detail on Monday. So we've got 5 minutes, about five minutes or so. Any questions before move on to one more approach? Feel free to type in anything if it's not clear. So we've done we've looked at the direct approach to the mindfulness process, the nature of the mindfulness process itself, the resting the eyes exercise, which is a direct method, and we've stepped down to the first gear of mindfulness with adding a positive word on the out breath. And I've got a question from Andrew. Let's see what that is. With the first one, the eye, better to focus. So it's better to just let the eyes rest rather than focus on one place. Because if you're going to actually focus on one place, that's like adding an activity, which we don't want to do. Okay. And more try not to involve volition. Yeah. So we really, with the mindfulness process, the kind of the main thing we want to be doing is reducing unnecessary mental and physical activity. That's the kind of the core of the mindfulness process, but in a natural way. Yeah, you can't force that to happen. A lot of people who teach mindfulness don't like talking about relaxation, and it's fair enough to be cautious about talking about relaxation, because it's easy for a lot of people, a lot of us in the West, it's not so much the case in the East. But for a lot of us in the West, we think that we do everything is an activity, that we achieve success through effort. And this is probably a good one for students, I imagine, because you know, as a student, you're doing there's so much to do. This is really the opposite. Mindfulness, meditation, the mindfulness process is really the opposite. So success comes through reducing activity, through reducing mental and physical effort. So it's an interesting one for students, I imagine, but for any of us in the West. So the idea is, it's kind of counterintuitive perhaps, but we get success in meditation through reducing effort. That's why one of the sayings for meditation is, if meditation is difficult, try less hard. Okay. Let's just do 1 minute of the mindfulness process with thinking, with a focus on thinking. So we used a visual input, and we focused on physical, the physical side of things, which is the moving the eyes. So we can focus on thinking as well and apply the mindfulness process to thinking. How we can do that is we can just wait until we notice a thought pops up, and when we've noticed that there's some thinking has happened or is happening, we can choose not to continue that thinking into a train of thought and just let it fall away again. It's like clouds passing across the sky. We can't stop the thought popping up. That's not what anyone's trying to do in meditation, at least until a very deep level. So let's try this for a minute. Again, resting the eyes, but waiting until we notice the thoughts popped up and then letting it drop away. Let's do that for 1 minute now. Okay, that's a minute or so. Probably everyone's thinking that we've run out of time. So you may not have even noticed a thought in 1 minute. Some people will have done, some people won't have done. Some people may not have had a thought in 1 minute, in that minute. So I think that's the end of our 30 minutes, is that right? Yeah. So we can go into these approaches more on Monday, and then we can have a longer time on the Fridays for a bit more meditation and less talking. And if you've got any questions, you can share them, type them up, or send them to Andrew or me.